Raquel with the Colorado State Conservation Board, and today we have John Miller with the Colorado Soil Health Program. He's the program manager, and he will be taking a deep dive into their Star Web Tool app. And he'll be walking through a field evaluation form and interpreting what it means when you get a 1 through 5 star rating and how that result can be used to inform your management decisions. We'll go over questions at the end. So sit back and enjoy and drink your coffee. John, take it away.
Thank you, Raquel. As Raquel said, I am the program manager for the Colorado Soil Health Program, and I think I know most of the people that are on this call. But if I don't know you, maybe I'll get to see you around at one of these events that we all go to. Today I'm going to talk about the Star Web tool, and you all will have to hopefully excuse me. I have a cold and it's pretty annoying. So I apologize if I have to clear my throat or pause to cough. So some of you on this call are part of the Colorado Soil Health Program. That program provides producers. We have producers that enroll from around the state. We partner with conservation districts. Those producers try one new soil health practice for a period of 3 years. And as part of being in our program, they receive incentive payments, soil health analysis, soil moisture monitoring systems installed in their enrolled field, and they also receive technical assistance from our regional technical assistance people. Another benefit of being enrolled in our program is that producers get to utilize the STAR tool to determine where they are in their soil health journey. It has always been our intention to release this tool to all producers in the state, so they do not have to be enrolled in the soil health program and go through all of the steps that takes. Instead, they can just use the STAR tool to kind of see where they're at in their soil health journey. So this is the official release and unveiling of this app out to people that are not in our program. We will also be releasing this via press release through the Colorado Department of Agriculture. And of course, we will have video links for people who are not here today that can go and see how to go through and use the tool. You can share those video links with the producers that are interested, and hopefully they can utilize this tool and get some benefits from it. So a little bit about what STAR is. National STAR is a nationwide nonprofit organization, and they are active in many states now. I believe they have at least 5 affiliate states, and they're working with folks in 10 plus states to bring STAR to those states as well. It originally started in Illinois by a soil and water conservation district, the Champaign County Soil and Water Conservation District. And 2 producers there in that conservation district got this idea for this tool to help people understand where they're at in their soil health journey. And that all began years ago, and now, as I said, they've spread to many states and are a nationwide entity. STAR likes to stress that they are made by producers for producers. Producers have input throughout all of the creation of the field forms, and the ones for Colorado are no different. We had producers that are specific to different crops that helped us to develop the field evaluations for those cropping systems. This STAR likes to think of this as conservation planning that is simplified. Here are some of their core principles. They believe that producers need a clear pathway for conservation system adoption. The path to conservation should be based on local resource concerns and opportunities and should be producer-led. Field evaluations and guidance for next steps should be simple. Producers need technical support and financial resources to enable conservation implementation. Producers should be recognized for progress and incentivized to continue that progress. Investors and supply chain partners need a clear roadmap for increasing conservation adoption. And conservation investments should prioritize funding of practice implementation and technical support for the producer. Program solutions should be driven by producer needs and designed to maximize the potential for positive environmental impacts at a local and global scale. The collective goal should be optimizing locally relevant practices on as many acres as possible, and progress needs to be measured using a consistent scale across regions and systems. So Colorado is a STAR affiliate. What does it mean to be an affiliate? Affiliates are partners who are aligned with STAR strategies for increasing conservation adoption and are using the STAR tool and framework to amplify conservation efforts with farmers and ranchers in their states and regions. And as I was saying, these are the different groups that are working. You can see down on the map there, these are the different states that are working with STAR currently to either they are affiliates or they're in the process of developing their affiliates status, or they're in early talks for opportunities for those states to become affiliates. So you can see it's quite a few states now that we're working with. So what does STAR offer? It is a 1 through 5 star rating for each field that the producer puts in the that the producer enters into the app. Each evaluation form takes approximately 10 to 15 minutes, so it's not a very lengthy process. There are 7 different cropping systems. We're still working on grazing lands, so there are evaluations for hay fields, but grazing lands will be coming out later this year. We're hoping actually sometime here in the spring we'll have a finalized grazing lands form. So if people are just grazing, there is an actual questionnaire in this app for what they would think are important things to consider for grazing lands soil health evaluation. But right now they will not get a score or a rating if they go through that process. So please keep that in mind when you're talking to your producers. And then they can compare different fields and their different management practices with each other. So this is an important one. They can add all the fields they want in there, and we have a lot of producers that are adding multiple fields or all the fields on their operations, and then kind of comparing where they're at with different management strategies on those fields. They will also have a conservation innovation plan, which is tailored to each individual producer and is based off of interests, resource concerns, and current management practices. And a framework for conservation planning long term. So you can see your field rating improve over time, so they can go back each year and add things that they've changed to their management and see if they've increased their score. They can assess what changes in management improve that rating, and this is a good way for them to organize their information and access resources. And I'll talk more about resource access when we get a little further along. The other benefits of STAR is people can request a STAR sign to use in their marketing or promotion of their operation. You can see one there in that image with Lobato Farms. That's like a market garden operation in Grand Junction, and they utilize their STAR sign in their marketing for their direct-to-consumer marketing products. The first 100 fields that are not enrolled in our soil health program, so please keep that in mind. Those first 100 fields to use this app can request a free soil sample analysis, so they can get a detailed analysis from the soil laboratory. But again, they cannot be enrolled in our soil health program because we're already providing those people with soil health analysis. So this is for producers, again, outside that are not enrolled in the soil health program. And then there are other resources that we are continuously adding to the resource list within the STAR app, and that can include your resources. So we're asking for you to send us your resource that you might have in your district. So some districts have incentive programs that they pay for, and other regional types of programs that are happening, including some of the tree sales and things like that. All that stuff would be really great to have added to the resource list. And then when a producer from your region goes through this process, they'll get your resources there in front of their eyes to see, and they'll say, "Oh, this is awesome," and then reach out to utilize those resources. It does not necessarily have to be something that your district does. It can be just a program or something specific to your region that you or your producers might find helpful. And again, I'll show you what that resource list looks like when we get a little further along. And we're to the part where I'm going to go through and open the app, and we'll do a field rank rating. So this is the web address. It's startool.ag, and we can send out an email after this presentation that has that web address, and we'll also have instructions and a link to a video of us going through a field evaluation. So I'm going to sign in here. And this is what the dashboard looks like. You can see that I have currently rated 150 acres. My average rating is 3.33 stars. These are my different fields down here. I have 3 completed forms and 1 incomplete form. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new field. So when you first go in to create a new field, there's a helpful tour guide that comes up here that points you to the different things that the different portions of the field creation. I'm not going to use this because I've done this a few times, so I'm going to say close the help tool. Please remember, when you first sign up and create your account, you have to designate a county or counties where your fields are located. So if the producer is working across multiple counties, they need to make sure to enter that when they're creating their account. You can see down here, I specified that I'm in Delta County, but you can add multiple counties here, and they need to do that if they're operating across multiple counties. Otherwise, they will get an error if they try to make a field outside of the county where they operate. So that's a very important thing to remember here. So I'm going to go in here again. Oh, got bumped out. Close the help. We're going to scroll down here to Delta County. And I'm going to go up to this center pivot right here. So in here, we have the option to make the field in a number of different ways. We can draw a free-form polygon, and I could go ahead and draw around my field. But we don't want to do that because this is a round field, which is fairly easy. It's a center pivot. So I'm going to draw a circle instead of making the polygon. You can see there's also a square tool here. So you can draw a rectangle, and you can cut out pieces out of an existing polygon. So if you have a field that you draw and then there's a spot in the middle of it that's not part of your field that you want to assess, you can cut it out of there. But we're going to go ahead and make a round field here. I'm going to start here and do that. And we'll call this field, we'll call it Cornfield East. And then I'm going to save this field. And now you can see that it came out here into the dashboard and joined my other fields that I've created out here. And this one's Cornfield East. So we're going to go ahead. This is an important thing to note. We're going to start a field form here and start an evaluation, but we want to make sure we're doing it for the correct year. People that are enrolled in the Colorado Soil Health Program, we've been trying to gather their information from before they started their new soil health practice. So we've been having everybody do their field form for 2023 so we could capture that information before they start the new thing. And then we'll have them reassessed after they do the new practice or practices. And then we'll be able to see if there was a change in their field evaluations, which we would assume there will be. But we're, for the purpose of people that are not enrolled in our soil health program, we want them to start with a field form for 2024. So we'd be looking at last year, not 2 years ago, like we are for the soil health folks. So this is very again, a key thing to do when you're not enrolled in the program. You want to start the form in 2024. And I know there are conservation districts on this call that have people enrolled in the program. We want to make sure those people are doing 2023. So that's right. For us, we're going to start 2024. So here we have the ability to copy answers. So if I filled out a form for 2023 and now I want to copy it over and make a change to it, I can select this right here and it'll let me copy the information from my original form over to the new year. So you don't have to totally fill out the valuation every year. You can just change things that you've changed in the last year. We could also start a grazing form, which, as I said, this is still under development. And so if they went into there now, it's a questionnaire. I believe there's 10 questions, and we ask them, what are things that you would consider to be important for the assessment of soil health on grazing land? And we're using that feedback for our development of that form. So keep that in mind, but it will not give them a grade or a star score if they go into this and into this part. So instead, we're going to start a new field form here. We're going to assume we're not grazing land and we're something else. And since I put cornfield on there, we're going to go with corn. So now it's going to give us an explanation of what the different steps through this are going to be. So this says this form documents field activities beginning immediately after harvest in 2023 and concluding with harvest of 2024. So basically the fall of 23 through the fall of 24 through this last fall. Cover crops interseeded prior to the 2023 harvest should be included in this time frame. So if we seeded cover crops like into our corn while it was still standing before we harvested it, we want to include it in our thought process here. So read every item under each category. Often more than one selection is possible. Not every question requires a response. Completely read each statement. Several have more than one qualifier that needs to be met. We're going to start with step one, which is soil armor. And you can see the different steps here as we're evaluating these people's soil health practices on this field. We have soil armor, continual living root, physical disturbance and tillage, chemical disturbance and nutrient management, biological disturbance and pest management, plant diversity, and livestock integration. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to begin our field form. So out the gate here, there's a few starting questions that we have. So we're going to have to select our crop. And as I said, we're going to do corn. So we're coming down here to corn and we'll do field corn. It's going to ask us if this field is owned or leased, and we're going to say it's owned. And note these ones with the little red asterisk, these are required. Is it enrolled in any program? So we want to know if it's enrolled in Boulder County Soil Health Program or Healthy Soils Initiative, an NRCS program, the San Miguel Soils Initiative, zero food print. So we'll just say we're in zero food print for the sake of this specific one. It's also going to ask us the farm and tract number. From FSA, you do not have to put this unless you're enrolled in the Colorado Soil Health Program or a program that's requiring it. But for this, if we were going to say we were enrolled in the Soil Health Program, it's going to bring up this box here, which is the Colorado Soil Health Program's unique user ID. So again, a lot of you on this call are enrolled in our program, and you know that each producer has a unique user ID. This is how we tie all their data together. So that's where you would enter this information. But we're going to say that no, we are not enrolled in this program. And we're not going to put that because, as I said, today's the big rollout for the beginning of people being able to use this that are not in our program. So we're going to say no here, and we're going to not put a farm and tract number. And is there in this field, is there an indication of salt affected soils, salinity or sodicity? This is not a scored question. We're just asking because we're interested to see how many people are fighting with this type of issue. So we're going to say no. All right, we should be good to go here. We're on to the first soil health principle of soil armoring. So we're going to select all management practices that were applied to this field that are relevant to soil armoring. Both companion crops and cover crops are plants grown for the primary purpose of soil health. Companion crops are planted and grown at the same time as the cash crop and may continue to grow after the cash crop's harvested. Cover crops are not grown at the same time, so they're planted after harvest or at least right during harvest, planted after harvest or terminated before cash crop planting. So we're going to think back to what we did on this field before we planted our corn crop for this year. And I'll just say that I did a multi-species winter killed cover crop. So I planted after in fall of 2023, mind you, after my last crop on this field, I planted a multi-species winter kill cover crop and got that established before it got too cold. How much crop residue is left on my field after I harvest? So this is after harvesting in 2024, after we harvested the corn. How much residue did we leave? And note, this residue must be left on the field at least through the winter. So we're going to say that we left 15 to 30% of our residue. You can also bear in mind that at any time they can open the frequently asked questions over here, and this will help them with things that they're unsure of. So a good example would be for us to go in here and look at, I think there's I thought there was an area where we can look at percent of crop residue ground cover. So if I'm unsure of what it looks like to have 15 to 30% of crop residue, I can click here and it'll take me out here to where I can look at some different examples of corn residue percentages. So this is what 30% looks like. Come out here and yep, that's about what it looked like on my place. So I'm going to stick with that and we'll go back in here. And I think I can just go back. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, there we are. Back here. All right. So we'll say that I was right about 30%. We'll just leave that one. During harvest, do you make specific decisions in order to maximize residue left in the field? And we're going to say, yes, we try to leave as much as we can when we're harvesting. What methods do you employ to prevent or address soil erosion on this field? And so we have a number of different options here. And we will say that we do cover cropping and we try to increase our residues to prevent or soil erosion. And also we'll say that we have a windbreak that we tend to on the side of the field to keep wind from blowing our soil away. And is this field irrigated? It was a center round 700 pivot, so we're definitely going to say yes. And you can see if I said no, the questions don't come up about irrigation. If I said yes, it's going to ask me what type of irrigation is used, and I'm going to say it's a sprinkler. How was our irrigation needs determined? We'll say we did that by moisture monitoring with sensors and probes. And this is something you could put for all the fields that are enrolled in our soil health program because they have moisture monitors out there, but a lot of people do moisture monitoring on their own or have those types of technologies built into their pivots. So we'll just go ahead and say, yes, we did moisture monitoring. Did we apply polyacrylamide? And we'll say for this pivot in this area, we definitely did not. So we're on to the next section. This is continual living root. So during the last cropping cycle, which includes the dormant and winter seasons, how many months was the field covered with a living plant? So basically, did we have a corn crop growing there? And then for half the year, we had the field fallow with nothing there, or did we plant a cover crop? And up front, we did say we had a winter killed cover crop. We're going to say that there was 9 to 11 months of living root on this field. We're going to go on to the next section here. So this one's going to ask us about our tillage patterns. For the spring and summer of year one, which was 2 years ago, select the tillage performed on this field. And we'll say that we did reduced tillage. For fall of year one, how did we till? We'll say we did no tillage. And for spring, summer of year two, so this is 2024. How did we till this year? We'll say we did no till. And in the fall of year two, we'll say we did minimum till. Actually, we'll say we did no till. We did no till. It's going to ask me how long it's consistently been a no till. We did say we did some reduced tillage up here. So we're going to say 1 to 3 years. Now, if I was doing no tillage for all the time, I would say, it'd be a longer time frame. Or obviously, if I'm not doing no till here, actually that thing doesn't even pop up, this little questionnaire. So we're going to go on to the next section. How did we determine our nutrient application rates? And we'll say we did a soil nutrient test and we did plant health assessments and we did nutrients based on organic amendments, because we're also going to say that we put some organic nutrients out here. So in our last crop, so using these determination factors, did we apply nutrients during 2024? And we'll say yes. And then we'll say that we applied synthetic fertilizer and we applied compost, because we set up here that we had tested some organic amendments. Did we use split applications? We're going to say yes, we did. What methods did you use to apply the synthetic fertilizer? We'll say we applied it with mechanical incorporation. So we applied it and maybe lightly disked it in. What methods did we use to apply non-synthetic amendments? And we'll say we applied those by top dressing. And we did apply non-synthetic, which is compost and manure amendments. When were they applied? And we'll say we applied those, we'll say in the fall. All right, next section. This one's biological disturbance and pest management. Do you monitor for pest pressure and adjust your pest control strategies accordingly? And we'll say, let's try to get a lower score on this particular thing. We'll say, yes, pests are an issue and I manage for them. So how did we manage for them? Let's say that we just did chemical pesticides and we just did them at a standard regular interval. We didn't do scouting and look to see how bad our pest pressure is. We just spray every 2 weeks on this corn. All right, now we're going to consider the cropping history of this field. So this is the diversity section, the plant diversity. We're going to consider the cropping history for the past 5 years and select the number of crop set families that best describe the history of our cash crop. So for this particular field, we're going to say that we rotated through alfalfa, and then we planted corn, and we had that cover crop in between. So we're not going to consider that cover crop. We've already mentioned that earlier on, and we're going to exclude it from this portion. So I'm going to say this is an alfalfa corn rotation, which means that we have 2 families that are out there. Including cover crops, have you planted a legume crop in the last 5 years? We're going to say yes. Alfalfa is a legume, isn't it? I think it is. It's a nitrogen fixer anyway. Okay, then we're going to say in the last 5 years, have you had a rotation with the same crop family for more than 2 years in a row? And we're going to say yes, because that alfalfa we had there for a while. Please describe in detail all crop rotations during the last 5 years. So list the year and crop and include any cover crops. So we're going to say alfalfa for 3 years, corn for 2 years. In the last 5 years, have you had a crop rotation including at least 1 full year of perennial species? So this story with the alfalfa, we're going to say yes. Were any of the crops grown in this field during the last 5 years intercropped? We're going to say no. So that corn we planted alone, then we did our cover crop. All right, now we're to the livestock integration portion. We could easily say no here. Maybe we don't have livestock out there, but let's say we had some out there grazing our corn stubble. We're going to say yes. Do you assess compaction before, during, and after livestock grazing events? We'll say yes, we do. Do you have documentation or measurements, such as photos, written notes? I'm going to say no, I don't. I just assess it by eye. Do you assess bare ground when livestock is integrated? We'll say yes, we do. Do you have documentation or measurements of your assessments, such as photos, written notes, etc.? And we'll say no. Again, we're doing this by eye. Do you assess utilization and residue, such as the corn stubble in this scenario before, during, and after the livestock graze on the field? And I'll say yes. Do I have documentation? And I'll say I do. I did take some notes on this one. If our assessments of compaction, bare ground, utilization, and residue indicate change is necessary, do I make management changes? I'm going to say I don't, because this is the only field I have and I have nowhere else to put my cows right now. All right, so now we're getting near to the end. It's going to ask us what other things that we think should be considered for evaluation in the future. So if I answered all those questions on my crop, my corn, alfalfa rotation, and now there's something I thought was left out, here's where I would put it. I'm going to say none, and we're going to go to the end. All right, now we have the chance to look at all of our different answers and make sure that we answered everything correctly. And if we don't like what we put, we could go back to the section and alter it, but we're going to be happy with what we put here. And I'm going to say, I understand that this field may be randomly selected for verification. So if so, I understand I may be required to provide documentation to support my responses. So as you saw back there, when I said that I did take notes about the cover or the corn residue, we want to make sure this is as accurate as possible. So we're going to be, contacting a random selection of people to make sure that they answered correctly and kind of just double check that this evaluation tool is accurate. So we're going to say, I understand, and we're going to submit our answers here. All right. We got a 4-star field. I should have guessed before I pushed submit because I was going to guess 3 or 4. So this one got a 4-star. We can go right here and order the star sign. So I can click that, and it just sent an automatic email to our CDA star email address to request that sign. And we'll be working on getting that sign out to delivery. So our field people on the ground, the Colorado Soil Health Program regional field folks, will be delivering those signs out. We'll close that now. Then we can look at our scoring breakdown. We can actually go up here and look at we can download a detailed report if we should so want it. But we'll look here and look at the different sections. So remember I said some stuff there in the pest management, like I knew there were pests, but I just spray on a every other week schedule. So I got a low score on the pest management. You can see here, like I did really well in the continual living root because I, have that cover crop. I did really well in the soil or in the livestock integration because we have the livestock out there and I'm managing that livestock. And I think if I'd have said that I changed my management decisions, we probably would have maxed out on this one. But like I said, I was limited there because I only had that one field and I had to put my cows somewhere. So you can look at these different sections and kind of see where you're at. This next step here, I actually thought that it was going to be available. Austin, maybe you can jump in here.
CIP.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me take over. I think actually, John, and I meant to say this at the beginning, but you already were just doing so good that the CIP is just on the test environment right now.
Oh, cool. All right, we'll jump over there to
yeah.
the test environment in a minute, and you guys can see what this conservation innovation plan looks like. But first, before we get out of here, I'm going to go to the resources page. Show you one more chance here to go to the resources page, and we have a method for you to submit your resources. So I'm just going to touch on that real quick. But at the bottom here, you have this information to contact folks. So you can contact me through the CDA_star email address if you have a question about this page that you're looking at here. And you can also contact Toby McPartland, who is the local regional Colorado Soil Health Program specialist that's covers Delta County. So it's going to sort you by county to that soil health specialist. We are working on the opportunity for conservation districts to be the people that are featured at this portion of this. So you can, in the beginning, your producer can choose to share their information with you, and you can you'd have to sign a short contract with Star, and you can become a navigator. And get admin access within this app for producers that choose to share their data with you. So you can kind of have another level of interaction with your producers. And this would be sort of where it would happen. And on the back end, you could see how they answered and see who had their scores. You could provide them with the signs without our field people needing to do it and things of that nature. So this is something we're still working on, just due to the nature of the back end and the app, and also the contract that the conservation districts would be signing. So we're working on all that stuff. And you will have the option in the future to have that deeper level of interaction with your producers in this app if you should so choose to do so. So that said, if you have interest in this, reach out and let us know. This is a good way to get a hold of us at CDA_star at state.co.us. So if you have interest in being that navigator role, let us know. And when it's available for you to do so, we will contact you. Right now, I'm going to quickly just go to this resource thing. So again, you can have your resources featured here on this page. So this is just some that have been entered in here that are kind of statewide things. Um, here's ours. Here's our Colorado Soil Health Program. That's actually our survey for our sociology study. There's Zero Food Print and Restore. This is something they could click on that's going to take them to information on cover crop termination. So this is just a list of resources for producers that can get in there, and this can include any resources provided by your conservation district if you would like us to share them to people. So if you'd like to do that, let us know at that CDA_star at state.co.us email address, and we can add you to this resource, your resource to this list. Are there any questions before we jump out of here and look at the Conservation Innovation Plan? This is going to be available for every producer that goes through this, and it's going to kind of be a more in-depth dive and Austin will show you what it looks like here and things that they can do and integrate into their cropping system here. But any questions before I go on? All right.
Hey, I can take over when you're ready, John.
Great.
All right.
Raquel, can you let me see, stop
Yeah,
sharing?
I made him a co-host, so he should be able
Yes,
to
thank you,
share.
Raquel.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
you. First off, want to say amazing job, John. That was like a really awesome walkthrough. The PowerPoint presentation at the beginning was really slick. I really blown away. I'm Austin Arrington. I'm with Peter at Plant Group, and we work with Star on the Star web tool. So John already showed you there's a process for adding fields. Houston Engineering worked on that, who's a really good firm who does GIS stuff for agriculture, really awesome developers, and they worked on this whole project. When you go in that field list, my field list page, you'll see your fields. And so like John just walked through a process of adding field forms for each field. After he went through that whole flow, and then once we release this to production, you'll click on that button to generate CIP, and it's going to take you to the CIP flow. But I also want to say, you can also, once you start it, you can access it from your field list. So there's an icon here, view CIP. You can also do your attachments, view field forms, download your score reports. But we'll go into the CIP, which is your Conservation Innovation Plan. So basically, after you fill out your field form, you're just going to have a few more questions about what are you interested in doing next season. And how do you want to kind of commit to conservation? And what are the resources we can match you with to make it happen? So your star navigator or John's contact will fill here, but we can change this in the admin as well. And John, you can add different contacts and stuff in the configuration. So the first step, why they just kind of ask, what's your why? Why are you building a conservation innovation plan? Say, I want to improve my star score, meet some program requirements somebody set, and learn about conservation, or maybe the Colorado Soil Health Program required it. And then you go on and you kind of say, what are challenges you're facing? Like, I don't know, let's say I'm having a pest problem and soil erosion and acidification. They ask, there's a program screening step, which we're going to actually develop a lot on this, but the idea is to try to like showcase really what are the current projects that there's funding around and people want to get involved with at the ground level. So for example, there's like the Sustainable Aviation Fuels program, things like this. So you go in and basically what now happens is you can download your report right here, and then you can go through here. This is what the contents are, and it basically says how you did for each section that you went and filled out, like soil armor. Remember, we went through that. I think I probably tried to follow what you did, John, but I added a maybe a winter hardy cover crop or something and did the 9 to 11 months. Um, then it goes on, it says, okay, cool. What about next season? What are you interested in? Like, okay, maybe, yeah, so that's, well, we'll just keep winter species, hardy, but they also, you can add other things. So like, let's go to erosion control. How could you control better there? We'll scroll down, irrigation scheduling. So basically, if you're gonna do new things next year that you think you can even improve more, then you can add it here. Like we did minimum till, maybe we go to no-till. Nutrient management, right? So basically, this is where you can go through and plan for your next season. And you can see the different point values that you could get. So you could use that to plan about, okay, I want to try crop rotation next season. So it's kind of a way to gamify getting your star score up and doing these conservation practices. And then basically, then what you're left here is now it gives you a review or recap. Okay, here's what you're doing now. Your current practices on the left. Here's what you could implement that you're not implementing yet. Like maybe I want to put in a breathable mulch, right? Or maybe I'm trying to add a drip irrigation system. So you can have your new practices added on the right. You can define any challenges that you might face in making that selection. Let's say I don't actually own the land, I'm leasing it. I don't know if I can do all these things, right? So then the next steps basically is you can download your report, get in contact with your navigator. But in this example, I guess interestingly enough, in this example, it only suggested one resource, John, because we did really good, yeah, I guess. But yeah, so basically the idea is that like based on what you're doing, like maybe you have room for improvement, you could put in a cover crop, you would then get matched with custom resources that are responding to your CIP and how you did on your field form, right? And those resources right now are like government funding and projects, but I really like your idea, John, earlier, which I hadn't thought of like, why not community-led stuff, like you said, like a tree program or, yeah, I think we can really expand on what those resources are. And the good thing is you as an admin can go in and add resources to the back end. Right now, we're going through pretending like we're a farmer. So I don't know why that function out. Oh, I have to look into that. So basically, you get recommended resources, and you could choose to save your resources as well. So you can like if you see a resource that you like, oh, like I know I saw a new high tonal resource that came out. You can save that resource. And for some reason, I'm not seeing the star from this section here, but let me look into that. And then basically that will show in your saved resources. So you could also do it from this page, like the High Tunnel Initiative. If you wanted to save it to a specific field, you can save that resource. So it gets saved to that field's list of resources. I just saw this, by the way, the High Tunnel Initiative. This looks cool. So yeah, those are resources. So that's the CIP flow. It's basically a way to give you a way to plan what your next practices might be for your next year's field form, and also matches you with custom resources. All right, thanks, John. You guys have any questions?
Thank you, Austin. Yeah, this is going to be really cool when it's integrated in the whole thing, and people have this for every crop. So this is coming quick, everybody, and um, yeah. So I guess that kind of wraps it up for us here, unless folks have any questions. Double check my notes.
Yeah, I don't see any questions in the chat. This is really exciting. It's come
Hey,
a long way since I was in soil, John.
Right. It
hey,
used to be those PDF forms. It's came a long
Yeah.
way.
we're
Look,
excited to work on this. And Raquel, you look so cool because on the Zoom, it's just like a picture of planet Earth. Like
I
Mama
know.
Earth is like talking to us. It's really cool.
Oh, good. All of a sudden, my camera's not working, so it's always something. Well, I'm gonna stop recording. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask or reach out to me or John, and we can get you in touch with anybody. Thank you.